Hello lovelies, today is the 20th birthday of my homepage. I would now like to tell you a little about how it all came about. I have had epilepsy since 1976. So on May 18, 2000, I had a very severe seizure during which I unknowingly strangled myself with the telephone cable. Then the emergency doctor knelt next to me with a defibrillator, and after 9 minutes of zero line, finally managed to get my heart to beat again. And then he asked me, "Mrs. Albers, I'm sorry, but I have to ask this question first. Have you seen a white light on the other side?" I go into more detail in the corresponding story, but that was on May 18th, 2000. And from then on, my life changed completely. I suddenly began to have intuitions in my dreams. In other words, I woke up and had an idea. I say for something, and at first I didn't take it seriously, and then I thought, okay, you just do what you dream, and then you'll see. Since I've always been a big fan of art, especially the Renaissance, I had an inspiration, and the first inspiration that I really took seriously. That was on January 25th, 2003, when I dreamed up the idea of writing a riddle about the dead Christ as depicted in Renaissance paintings. Parallel to this riddle came the idea of writing a book about the Renaissance in riddle form. I wanted to write this puzzle book for young people who are not really interested in the Renaissance and don't want to go to museums and think it's all stupid. And I wanted to somehow entice them to turn to the Renaissance with a book. So this idea slowly developed. I tossed my books back and forth, looked for pictures, thought about it, and suddenly, and this is the exciting thing, the next morning I had another dream. It was a riddle about the painter Rogier van der Weyden. Somehow I didn't know what was happening to me. I was dreaming everything. I woke up drenched in sweat and just wrote down what I had dreamed, and that's how the whole book came about, piece by piece. And parallel to my dreams, I was so ill the whole time. I had all kinds of infections, swollen lymph nodes and so on, and somehow I still had epilepsy and was taking medication. And while I was in the writing and dreaming flow and was completely thrilled with the whole story, I suddenly thought, oh, you've now been seizure-free for a year thanks to the new drug Keppra, which is the active ingredient levetiracetam. So I decided to go to my neurologist Bettina Schmitz on May 23rd, 2003, and thank her for the first year without seizures. So I took 2 bottles of sparkling wine with me and went to the Virchow Klinikum Campus Charité. She was delighted. I was happy because I went back to my friend. And here's the kicker. The very next morning, an aneurysm burst in my head, and I had a massive subarachnoid hemorrhage. My girlfriend at the time, Marion, called the fire department. I was taken back to the Virchow. The aneurysm was coiled there. Yes, and I was paralyzed for a while. Miraculously, everything turned out reasonably well. However, they had found a second media aneurysm, which was to be clipped in July 2003. And while all this drama was happening to me, I kept going back to my dreams and writing more puzzles, even though I was so ill, because that was the only thing that distracted me and took me out of the drama. So I hadn't lost my intelligence because of the bleeding. It was all cruelly awful. But I had kept my intelligence and my intellect, and that was the good thing. And so it went on bit by bit. I wrote puzzles, spent time at home with my girlfriend, and in the end the puzzle book was finished. I had sent it to Dumont and wanted to publish it, and I had no idea how this whole publishing thing worked. I couldn't come to an agreement with Dumont because they wanted something different from what I wanted, and then it was on ice for a while. Then the year 2004 began, and it's important to mention that Ulla Schmidt's healthcare reform started on January 1st, 2004. I was a welfare recipient. Suddenly, I had the flu, was sick as a dog, and had to pay extra everywhere. I was really annoyed, and I knew that others weren't any better off. But I basically had a big mouth and thought, okay, if I fight for myself now, then I can fight for the others at the same time. And so I came up with the idea of suing the politicians and making a big campaign, writing a huge letter. And at first I didn't know, how do you go public now? And that's when I built my first homepage. And I had no idea how to build a website. I just took a homepage construction kit from Lacoste for free and just tried it out. And even then, I suddenly thought of some JavaScript, commands or HTML codes in my dream and thought, never mind, you just put in what you dream and it worked. And to come back to the puzzle book, it wasn't just a political homepage where I was ranting, but I also told personal things about myself. Then I was quite demanding and thought, okay, you can just include a few of the puzzles here. But then it became too personal. I just talked too much about myself, and not so much about the political homepage, and over time things calmed down a bit with the health reform. And in addition to my Renaissance puzzles, I also had many other dreams to realize. I don't know, religious topics, art topics, technology topics, literature, culture, politics, architecture, fun psychology, lots of games, yes. And I told a lot of very, very personal things about myself. But that no longer fit on the health reform homepage. And so the day, April 2nd, 2004, when the domain susannealbers.de was free, and that was the starting day for this current homepage, www.susannealbers.de. I had so many incredible ideas, just bubbling over. And as I said, I dreamed all the initial ideas and just woke up and realized what inspirations were suddenly there in the dream. Then I thought about the corset for the homepage. I wanted to build all kinds of pages on the topics mentioned above, and at the bottom of each page there should be a little riddle question to entice my guests to the Renaissance. And that was the exciting thing. You can't even imagine it. I bubbled over and pages were created. Hundreds, then thousands, and it went on and on. I noticed from the guestbook entries that the website visitors liked it. Suddenly I was on school curricula, not only in Germany but in Europe. All over the world everyone was enthusiastic about this site, and I was spurred on to continue. And so it went on and on until the website reached its absolute peak in 2016, with over 10,000 visitors a day. And they were happy, and I was happy, and everything was great. Then something happened that annoyed me immensely. In 2017, Google wanted all pages to be responsive and for guests to be able to visit websites more easily on their cell phones. So now I had all these great images and texts and so on and so forth on the site. And I actually thought, no, I wanted people to look at my site on a computer. In any case, I then changed a few, later even more pages, which were then mobile friendly. But I am still of the opinion that if you look at such pictures, everything is much too small and really stupid on the cell phone, and that still annoys me today. What happened next can actually be easily counted on 10 fingers, because I slipped very, very far down in the Google search results. I just couldn't go along with Google. I'm 59 years old, today, 2024, and I just don't feel like walking through the streets with my cell phone or sitting in the subway and then looking at some theoretically super Renaissance paintings on my cell phone. The paintings are so great, and it's just not made for cell phones anyway. The pictures are far too good for that. So I didn't let myself be influenced by Google and the stupid search results and just kept on building. I still do today. Now there are over 16,000 pages. I have 1,500 till 2,000 visitors a day on the site, and they are happy. I'm happy, and everything is just great. And for this 20th birthday of the homepage, I have now published all the Renaissance puzzles and a few exciting little things on YouTube, and hope that this might be a compromise solution. Okay, dear ones, that's it. Thank you for your many visits to my homepage. I am very happy and wish you lots of fun in the next 20 years. Best regards, Susanne.